Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley, and this is another historic church in Shropshire, in the Shropshire Hills. This is St John the Baptist, Myndtown. The name derives, it would seem, from the Welsh Mynydd, mountain, as read by English people, and so it becomes Myndtown. The church here is 12th century, restored in the 19th, although much of it still reflects what it would have been before then. There's a nice boarded vestry, which you can't see because it's behind the camera at the moment, but obviously we will see it in a minute. There's a nice Norman font here, which you can't see because it's below the level of the camera lens. So we'll have a look around and see what we can see in this beautiful whitewashed church up here in the Shropshire Hills. As usual, then, we start up the west end. So here we are. There is no tower here. It's one of these small Shropshire churches where a tower would have been an extravagance, shall we say. You can see the Victorian screen in the chancel arch. The Norman arch appears to have long since disappeared. The font here is 12th century of what's known as the chalice type. You can see it looks somewhat like a wine glass. The base is probably later. We have, you can just see here, this Norman window opening, and on the other side there's a window opening that has been enlarged, but still has something of a Norman feel to it. In fact, they've both been enlarged, I bet. I promise the boarded vestry I shall deliver. So here we have the vestry, and you can see the boards. It may originally, the boards could very well come from a family pew, but they're now the vestry. There's a little window in the west wall, which is probably Norman in origin, but has had the top flattened. War memorial here, and you can just see here a little fragment of wall painting. One of the problems with wall painting when it's rediscovered is how best to look after it, because you expose it and it starts to fade. Well, I say war memorial, just the one man, John Myndtown of Mind Cottage, Private Royal Welsh Fusiliers, who died for his country in France in 1918, faithful unto death. And there's the pulpit. Myndtown has long been joined with Norbury. There we are, looking through that. It's a very simple screen, and although it's such a small place, they lost a man in the Second World War too. Alfred Waters, the king of the regiment, killed in action 12th May 1944, aged 30. There's the other window, and then this window has been renewed. There's no organ, but we do have a keyboard and, well, I suspect it's probably an electric piano, and a harmonium. The communion rails are quite good. A small table and stained glass in the window, but it's patterned rather than figurative. There is only one figurative window. It's here where we have, well, I suspect there was a bit there, that is a sedilia and piscina, and we have here John the Baptist, the baptism of Christ. As we turn around, we find, looking back through that screen there, the table. Yes, it's a communion table, not a Victorian altar, so it's an older table, probably 17th, 18th century. And here we have a memorial to the Reverend John Glendower Hughes, who was rector of this parish and vicar of Norbury for 34 years. What's the difference between a vicar and a rector? Vicar is entitled, as the name suggests, from the Latin, vicarious. It suggests one who acts in the place of somebody else, and who's somebody who receives the tithes, the rector gets the tithes himself. You can see here that the chancel and the nave are not quite straight. It's a phenomenon known as weeping, largely because there's a fanciful explanation that it represents the head of Christ lying to one side on the cross. Normally, no, this is probably someone's made it up, and in fact it's simply that the building isn't quite aligned right. Sometimes it's to do with the actual ground on which it's built, that the rock suitable for foundations is not such as to allow for a straight church. Sometimes it's because the nave and chancel are built at different periods by different people. And so we proceed back into the nave, where we can look up at the roof here. Very nice, very simple, of course, because it's a little altered Norman church, because it's a tiny village, and it's never been more than a tiny village. So we'll go outside and have a look around. And so here we are outside of Myndtown. You can see this beautiful, simple Norman structure. Tiny little, again, very simple bell turret. There's a little fish weather vane, which is interesting. You don't see them very often. We're at the foot of the Long Mine, which is this great, as the name suggests, long mount, great big hill in the Shropshire Hills, just the other side from Church Stretton, and indeed all the Strettons, including all Stretton. So we'll have a look around the outside and see what we can see. So here we have the exterior. You can see the buttresses are 19th century, probably because it was felt that wall needed them. You can see there the fish weather vane. It's whitewashed and rendered, which it should be. The Norman church would have been this way because the Normans liked their churches to be nice and white and shiny. They stood out in the landscape. Behind is the old rectory, which means that we can't really go round the north side, we can only look at the south side. The church here, you can see a little window there. There was a priest's door, we know that because there's an 18th century painting that shows it, but that has disappeared probably in the 19th century, as a lot of things did, restoration work, which was undoubtedly necessary. Now, we can complain about the Victorians, but really what they did was needed. Yes, you can see it's just a sea of nettles the other side, because medieval people, burials were on the south side, unless there was something wrong with you, like being excommunicated. So that is this very simple building up here in the hills. And I'll just have a look around here with the camera so that you can see the fantastic setting. And there we see how it all heads down, then down the hill towards Ludlow eventually in that direction. It's a long way to Ludlow. So here we are then up in the Shropshire Hills. And so there we have it, Myndtown, St John the Baptist. So thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.